I am Damonous. Jesus is my king. You are my family. Hello, I am Damonous. Thanks for joining. Recently I posted a video elaborating what I thought were very significant accomplishments in Donald Trump's first 6 months of presidency. One of the things I realized that I inadvertently left out, just as I was posting the video, was the topic of human trafficking. As it turns out, perhaps it was a good thing that it was left out, because it's a topic that I think needs its own focus. For a couple reasons that we're going to talk about here is who's really to commend for the focus on human trafficking and stopping it, I should say, the stopping human trafficking, and then also who's responsible for it. So in researching to get this ready for you, I realized that this really needs to be a video in two parts on two separate topics. So today, in this video, we're going to go over human trafficking under the first 6 months of Donald Trump's presidency. So in this article from Daily Wire, we've got sex trafficking arrests soar under Trump. Mainstream media completely ignores. This is based off of an article from townhall.com. And the big claim here, the big statistic here, is that in one short month after his inauguration, there were more than 1,500 arrests for sex crimes ranging from trafficking to pedophilia. And in comparison, 2 years ago, or three, I should say, in 2014, there are fewer than 400 sex trafficking related arrests. That's according to crime statistics. And there's other articles that either feed off of that same article or support that. And in here, this has the links, or the dates and the links to people arrested. So January 27th, 47 people were arrested in Memphis, Tennessee on human trafficking charges. January 29th, 474 were arrested. 11 women on February 1st, 108 arrests on February 5th. And so forth. You can look at it all yourself. I mean, there's a huge tally going all the way through February 15th in here. So it's really a great success of a crackdown on human trafficking. Unfortunately on CNN, I can't find the date of this here, but you can tell by what they speak about. It's in the month of February.
Harryhausen, the President and CEO of International Justice Mission, which fights human slavery and trafficking. Good to have you on, Gary. I'm curious, so were you pleased with what you heard from the President? Do you think there's an understanding of just how vast this problem is?
I think it was an important day today. It was a tremendous opportunity this early in the new administration to be able to brief the president and his daughter Ivanka, who's going to be, I think, providing some high-profile leadership on this issue, and to do, as you say, to let him know just how massive the problem it is, how brutal it is, but also how stoppable this problem is in the world. So this was a good day for raising that awareness and raising that hope to do something decisive about it.
You say this is extremely stoppable. Tell us more about that, because I know you're saying that the global resources and the political will are clearly there.
Well, it's starting to come together now for the first time in history. Most people don't know that there are more people in slavery today than at any other time in human history, about 45 million. But what we also now have is it's against the law everywhere in the world.
It's an extreme number of people under slavery of all types, and what they're talking about here is, sexual slavery as well as indentured servitude. So the counterpoint to this is a lot of people are saying, there's a lot of articles out there saying, hey, no, Trump is not to thank you for this year's human trafficking bust. And while I agree to some of the points here, that some of these operations had to be ongoing for quite some time, and I think the California bust of the 400 and some people was ongoing for 5 or 6 months. So certainly there was setup that happened before this. But, even in here, and this is from Anonymous, whoever they are, right? But this article is even saying, in February, Trump had vowed to senior advisors and representatives of organizations that deal with human trafficking that he would bring the full force and weight of the government to combat the problem, which I think sinks into the video that we just saw. And in this article from Reason.com, we can see here too that they're saying Trump's mythical crackdown on sex trafficking, and what they point out in here that the data that's used, January 2017 versus January 2014. Hey, there's been a lot that's happened since then. And in this article here from the U.S. Examiner, it says U.S. human trafficking arrests hit an all-time high in 2016. This is from early in the year, and it looks like maybe there's been some updates this year, midsummer. Nearly 2,000 people were arrested in fiscal year 2016 as a result of human trafficking investigations launched by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement's Homeland Security Investigations Branch. That's a lot to say in one go. Last year's figures are the highest on record, according to a statement issued Monday evening. In the 7 years since former President Obama declared January the National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month, HSI has tracked its efforts to tackle the underground industry. The number of arrestees for involvement in illegal trade and exploitation of people for commercial gain has continued to rise. So, point taken that all the good that's happening is not necessarily on Trump's watch, and some of it was set up under Obama. But I think what we need to look at is the statistics, right? So, worst countries for human trafficking today. This is from Tier 3 list of the U.S. State Department's Office to Monitor and Combat Trafficking in Persons in 2015. Now, in here they list for North Africa, Algeria, and also Libya. Now, we know under Obama's term that between Obama and his Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, they managed to make a mess of Libya. That's where our embassy in Benghazi was attacked. Sub-Saharan Africa. So the usual places that we hear of: Uganda, Ethiopia, Sudan, Congo. Middle East, Kuwait, Afghanistan, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. Now, you can take it for what you will, what you believe, but one of the things that was pretty clear under the Obama administration was pretty friendly to the Middle East and very friendly to Iran, with a very good deal. And in here it says, Iran also has people willingly coming from Afghanistan and Pakistan to work who are then forced into unpaid labor. Yemen is a big source country. And as well as Iraq, and Syria is a large destination country for traffickers coming from Iraq. But to make the claim that, President Obama was just this great hero for human trafficking doesn't really equate to the places that he supported. But just when we get into the hard stats on human trafficking, taking out the political equation and who did what, this is really something that we should all be concerned about as Americans, especially Americans who say we love freedom and we love what we bring to this world. We really need to be more aware and active on combating this global problem. According to a May 2014 report from the International Labor Organization, an estimated 21 million victims are trapped in modern-day slavery. Of these, 14 million for labor, 4.5 million for sexual exploitation, and 2.2 were exploited in state-imposed forced labor. Now, we know from the video we watched from CNN, the guy, I think, said 45 million. So just in a couple years, this has gone way through the roof. Human trafficking, modern enslavement of immigrant women in the United States. Human trafficking is a modern form of slavery. Who are the victims of human trafficking? Worldwide, women and children suffer disproportionately from trafficking. Poverty, gender discrimination, illiteracy, and low levels of education, regional conflicts, and a lack of job opportunities affect women in great numbers. What are the typical characteristics of trafficking? Traffickers, usually a recruiter or the actual employer, will compel their victims to accept the job through various forms of deception, coercion, or physical force. Traffickers deprive their victims of the ability to consent and use physical force or psychological, legal, or economic coercion to trap their victims in forced labor situations from which they cannot freely escape. So, I believe it's in this article they go on to say that, hey, this is why we should accept illegal immigrants freely, or they allude to that. And, I think this reads to me exactly the opposite. This is saying that if we allow illegal immigration, who are some of the most susceptible people to human trafficking? How about people without a real country? How about people who are desperate to get into another country illegally, who, by the very nature of their act, must hide in the shadows? Those, to me, are the people most susceptible to human trafficking. And likewise, then, to what I was saying is that illegal immigration actually supports human trafficking. Here, will Trump's border wall prevent human trafficking? Experts aren't sure. Experts aren't sure, but one thing, Trump has said this: the wall is going to get built, and the wall is going to stop drugs, and it's going to stop a lot of people from coming in that shouldn't be here. It's going to have a huge effect on human trafficking, which is a tremendous problem in this world. So the current president is certainly aware of what can add to the problem of human trafficking. And we've seen through his daughter Ivanka a heavy support and taking up the charge on this human trafficking issue. While Trump was having a commencement speech to the U.S. Coast Guard, she was having a press conference at the White House and combating human trafficking and modern slavery is both a moral and strategic interest domestically and abroad. And again, in late June, Ivanka Trump spotlights global human trafficking. Ending human trafficking is a major foreign policy priority for the Trump administration, Ivanka said. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson called Trump somebody who's doing a great deal to raise the profile of this issue. We have this from the Los Angeles Times on July 22nd, which was a wrap-up of everything that Trump has tweeted about. And one of them that he tweeted about was efforts to combat human trafficking. President Trump shares a link to an article about a meeting he had with representatives of organizations that deal with human trafficking. And bringing it back to February when Trump first unveiled this, President Trump War on Human Trafficking. President Trump vows to go face-to-face against sex trafficking. Daughter Ivanka Trump is reported to be a driving force behind the aggressive efforts. So, we've seen all the political actions against Trump and all the media fuss. I'm not going to say that there's no mainstream media articles about human trafficking, because we just saw a bunch. But is there a focus on it? And my next segment is going to be about why would there be interest in going against Trump and trying to stop him from doing things like this, trying to stop what he's trying to do to stop illegal immigration, things that are conducive to human trafficking. I think what there is there's a seedy underbelly, not only in politics, but in Hollywood. All the people trying to tell us, oh, hey, it's bad. Let's have plenty of people in here. Let's have plenty of people who don't belong, who don't have a home, who are susceptible, very susceptible to being trafficked. Thanks for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Catch me on these alternate media sources.